15 bizarre true stories that you won't believe. Straight in at 15, bees paying their respects. Margaret Bell, who maintained bees near Lean Twardine, approximately 7 miles from her house in Ludlow, Shropshire, England, died in June 1994. Soon after her funeral, mourners were surprised to discover hundreds of bees settling on the street corner, opposite the house where she had lived for 26 years. The bees remained for an hour before buzzing away over the rooftops. The local press published a photograph of the bees clustered on the wall. Number 14. Phantom car crash. On December 11, 2002, two motorists called police to report seeing a car swerving to avoid other vehicles and driving straight off the A3 Trunk Road and down an embankment with headlights flashing in Burpham, Surrey. A comprehensive search turned up a car hidden in dense vegetation and the long-dead driver nearby. It soon became apparent that the crash occurred 5 months earlier, when the driver, Christopher Chandler, was reported missing by his brother. Number 13. Enigmatic Earth Divot. In October 1984, an irregular-shaped hole measuring approximately 10 feet by 7 feet, with 2 feet vertical sides, was discovered on a remote property near Grand Coulee, Washington State. It had not been there a month before. Dribblings of soil and stones revealed a 3-ton grass-covered earth divot 75 feet away. It seemed almost as if the divot had been excised with a massive cookie cutter, except that roots still dangled from the vertical sides of both the hold and the slab. There were no clues such as vehicle footprints, and an earthquake was considered extremely implausible. Number 12. Balloon Buddies. Laura Buxton launched a helium-filled balloon at her grandparents' gold wedding anniversary celebrations in Blurton, Staffordshire, in June 2001. Her name and address were attached to the balloon, along with a note requesting that the finder write back. 10 days later, she received a response. Another Laura Buxton discovered the balloon in the yard hedge of her home in Pewsey, Wiltshire, around 140 miles away. Both Lauras were 10 years old and had 3-year-old black Labrador retrievers, a guinea pig, and a rabbit. Number 11. Hum Misty for Me. According to the veterinary record, April 1995, a noise similar to amplifier feedback could be heard emanating from the right ear of a Welsh pony named Misty for 3 years. It varied in strength, but maintained a consistent pitch of 7 kHz. Subjective tinnitus is defined as hearing a buzzing in one's ears. It is extremely rarer for others to hear the noise. This is known as objective tinnitus, and the cause is still widely debated. Number 10. Whirlwind Children. In July 1992, a 9-year-old Chinese girl was playing in Songjiang near Shanghai when she was swept away by a whirlwind and landed unharmed on a treetop over 2 miles away. According to a Wire story from May 1986, a wild wind took 13 youngsters from the oasis of Hami in western China and dropped them safely in sand dunes and scrub 12 miles distant. Number 9. Riverside Mystery. Gloria Ramirez, 31, died of kidney failure at Riverside General Hospital in California in February 1994 after being admitted with chest problems. Fumes killed emergency department personnel while taking a blood sample. A weird oily sheen on the woman's skin and mysterious white crystals in her blood were observed. A doctor experienced liver and lung damage, as well as bone necrosis. At least 23 others were affected. One possibility was that Ramirez, who had cervical cancer, had taken a mixture of medications that combined to form an insecticide, organophosphate, but tests revealed no evidence. Number 8. Boulders in Trees. In April 1997, A turkey hunter in Yellowwood State Forest, Indiana, discovered a massive sandstone boulder stuck between three branches of an oak tree about 35 feet above the ground. The arrow-shaped rock was estimated to weigh 500 pounds. 4 additional huge rocks were discovered lodged high up in trees elsewhere in the forest. All were in remote locations. No trees were harmed. There were no traces of heavy machinery or tornado damage, and no one remembered any dynamite mishaps in the area. Number 7. Now, this is one of my favorites. Helpful voices. While on vacation, a woman known as A.B. in the British Medical Journal, 1997, experienced 2 voices in her head begging her to return home right away. Back in London, the voices provided her the address of a hospital's brain scan department. The voices instructed her to request a scan because she had a brain tumor and her brainstem was irritated. Despite the fact that she had no symptoms, a scan was eventually scheduled and she was diagnosed with a tumor. Following the operation, A.B. heard the voices again. "We are pleased to have helped you," they said. "Goodbye." A.B. had a full recovery. Number 6. La Mancha Negra. A hazard specific to Venezuelan highways is a slippery goo known as La Mancha Negra, the black stain, which is actually a sludge with the consistency of chewing gum. Even though the government has spent millions of dollars on study, no one understands what the goo is, where it comes from, or how to get rid of it. It originally appeared in 1987 on the road from Caracas to the airport, covering 50 yards and spreading inexorably with each passing year. By 1992, it was a serious traffic danger throughout the capital, killing 1,800 motorists after losing control. The problem continues to this day. Number 5. Postcard farewell. Jim Wilson's father died in Natal, South Africa, in April 1967, and both Jim in England and his sister Muriel in Holland were told. Muriel informed her husband, who was on business in Portugal, and he flew to South Africa immediately. While changing aircraft at Las Palmas Airport in the Canary Islands, he purchased a postcard of holidaymakers on Margate Beach in Natal and sent it to Muriel. She realized that the snapshot showed her father strolling up the beach. Number 4. Note case from the sky. Mrs. Lynn Connolly felt a sharp tap on the top of her head in October 1975 while hanging clothes in her garden in Quadrant, Hull. It was created by a little silver note case, 63 millimeters by 36.5 millimeters, and hinged, which contained a used notepad with 13 sheets remaining. It was inscribed with the initials SE, C8, TB, or JB, and Klaipėda, a Lithuanian harbor. Nobody claimed it at the police station, so it was returned to Mrs. Connolly. It appears that it fell only a short distance, but from where? If it had fallen from a plane, she would have received more than a tap. Number 3. Fiery persecution. Caneto di Caronia, on Sicily's north coast, has been afflicted by strange fires. The trouble started on January 20, 2004, when a television caught fire. Then items in nearby homes began to fire, including washing machines, mobile phones, mattresses, chairs, and even the insulation on water pipes. The energy company and the train company turned off all power, yet the fires remained. Experts of various types conducted tests, but no explanation was discovered. The village was evacuated in February, but when the residents returned in March, the fires reignited. Police ruled out a pyromaniac after witnessing wires exploding into flames. Number 2. Bovine enigma. On June 28, 2002, in the midst of an outbreak of unexplained cattle mutilations in Argentina, something horrific was discovered in a field near Suco, west of Rio Cuarto in San Luis Province. 19 cows were crammed into a sheet metal water tank with a conical cover. 9 drowned while the remaining survivors were barely alive after enduring cold conditions and the shock of their lives. How does one get 19 cows into a water tank? If you enjoy stories about the strange, scary, or just plain weird, why not stick around for another one, right after this? Number 1. And then there were 3. Bobby Shafran, 19, arrived on campus on his first day of college, perplexed by his new classmates addressing him as Eddie. Bobby instantly realized he had a look-alike in college. In fact, Eddie Galland, a fellow freshman, looked exactly like him. Some may even call him a twin. Or, as they soon discovered, triplet. When Bobby and Eddie's photo appeared in the local paper, a third man, David Kellman, approached them, because he too bore a striking similarity. The 3 discovered they were triplets separated at birth and adopted by families of various socioeconomic status as part of a broader psychological research. Using the nature-nurture argument, the 3 were purposefully placed in different socioeconomic homes to observe how they grew up. Tragically and understandably, Edward Galland did not take it well after discovering the truth about the experiment. Living with mental health issues, he took his own life in 1995.